Look at what it says in the book of Exodus. God says, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. It's interesting to me that out of all the 10 commandments, this is the only one that has the word remember in it. You know why? Because God knew this is the one we would forget. He doesn't say, remember not to kill or something like that. He says, remember to regularly rest. That word Sabbath actually means to stop. Take time to stop, to hit pause. And when we hit pause, I believe there are two things that we need to do. First of all, we need to hit pause to pray. And what I mean by that is we need to hit pause to spend time with God. Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter what else you do. It doesn't matter how often you pause. If you're not taking regular times with God, you're never going to have the rest that you're looking for. So every single day, take a few minutes to hit pause and acknowledge God and spend some time with Him. And every single week, take an extended amount of time. Sunday's a good day to do it, right? Take an extended amount of time with God. Hit pause. Spend time with Him. But then also hit pause to play. What I mean by that is do activities that physically replenish you. Because we all have certain things that fill up our buckets. So do God-honoring activities that fill you up, that replenish you physically. And maybe that's some hobby, maybe that's some activity, maybe it's spending time with certain people, but do something that fills you up. Maybe it's just taking a nap. If you have a short fuse right now, maybe your short fuse needs to be replaced with a long nap, honestly. Amen. For me, you know what fills up my bucket? Spending time with my family. Nothing fills me up more than that. When I get home from a long day and my kids run up to me and give me a hug and tell me that they missed me, and I look at Allison and she gives me that look that only she can give me, nothing fills me up more than that. This past Monday, I had a pretty rough day, stressful day. Honestly, I just felt beat up, honestly. And I got home that evening, and my kids and Allison, they were out in the backyard, and she had blown up their kiddie swimming pool, about an 8-foot-long swimming pool, and Alex and Addie were in it playing, and Addie looked at me, and she said, Daddy, you want to get in and play with me? And normally, I would have been like, no, I'll just stay out and, watch you or play with you from the outside. I was going to get in this kiddie pool. And for some reason, in that moment, I thought, that's what I need to do. I said, you betcha. And I went and put on my trunks, and I hopped in the kiddie pool with them. And I played Barbies with Addie. They were diving in the pool and all that good stuff. Alex and I had competitions of how long we could hold our breath, And we played in that pool for over an hour, and it was so much fun. And let me tell you, it filled me up. Allison laughed. She laughed at me the entire time, and that filled me up as well, seeing her laugh like that. Nothing fills me up like spending time with my kids. Do whatever it is for you that replenishes you physically. Now, also, I think we can learn from this passage that we need to identify unhealthy pressure in life. Martha, she was carrying around pressure that God didn't want her to carry around. She was trying to impress everybody and please everybody, and God didn't want her to carry around that pressure. Instead, He just wanted her to spend time with His Son. And here's the thing, Martha had a performance-based mindset. She thought that her identity was based on her performance, on perfectionism, on being perfect. And if you live with that type of mindset, you will end up feeling fatigued and drained. And that's what our culture wants us to do. I mean, social media, it fuels that fire. Social media, people put up pictures of themselves, and you look at people's lives on social media, you think, man, I want that. And there's all this pressure to be like everybody else, to have what everybody else has, to go on trips like everybody else goes on, to have relationships like what everybody else has. There's all this pressure to be like everybody else. But here's the thing, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Social media is extremely deceptive because people only put up the pictures they want you to see. It's kind of like this. When you go to a fast food restaurant and they're advertising a hamburger, and you look at that hamburger and you say, boy, that looks good. That's appetizing. Yeah, I'm going to order that. I'm going to buy that. And then you go and you buy it and you open up the wrapper and this is what you get. You know what I'm saying? That is social media right there, okay? So don't get weighed down by all this external pressure that people are placing on you that is completely unnecessary, that God doesn't want weighing you down. And then last, I think we learn from this passage that we need to find people who will be honest with us. Find people who will be honest with you. Martha needed someone to look her in the eye and say what she didn't want to hear. Martha needed someone to look her in the eye and say, you're distracted right now. You're weighed down by something right now that shouldn't be weighing you down. And that person in the moment happened to be Jesus. Now, I get it. You're not going to go out to lunch today and have lunch physically with Jesus. I get that. But you need godly friends in your life, godly people in your life who will speak Jesus' words to you, who will lovingly speak Jesus' truth to you. So that when you need to slow down, they're going to let you know it. When you need to make some change in your life, they're going to let you know it. When they see a warning sign that you don't see, they're going to let you know it. Godly friends do that. I tell you what, I don't want friends who are just always going to agree with me. I don't want friends who are just going to say, hey, Chad, everything you're doing is great and fine and wonderful. You just keep going down that path. I want friends who are going to think spiritually. And when they see me going in a direction that might be dangerous, they're going to give me a warning. That's what godly friends do. And they do that even if it means risking the friendship to do it, because they love that person so much. As a lead team, our lead staff team, we've been reading a book together. It's entitled The Motive. It's Patrick Lencioni's latest book. And I've read several of his books. He's a great author on leadership. He's a secular author, so I don't agree with everything he says in here. Some of his language isn't the best, but still, we were reading this book, and he's got some great leadership principles. And one thing that I read just the other day stood out to me. He writes these words. He says, "It is very, very difficult for any leader, even the most humble of them, to avoid letting constant approval and admiration create a warped and inaccurate self-image. This is why it is so important for leaders to surround themselves with people who will be honest with them." And I think that's not just true for leaders. It's true for all of us. We need to surround ourselves with people who will lovingly be honest with us. I had a phone conversation with a guy this week, a friend of mine who lives in a different state, and I told you I had kind of a rough week, a rough Monday, and so I was talking to him. He knew something was up. He didn't know the details, but he told me on the phone. He said, "Chad, I don't know everything that's going on, but I just want to remind you of a truth that has always helped me out, and it's this: God is God, and you are not." And he said, "I don't say that to criticize you. I say it to give you some hope and some peace. You don't have to figure this out. Turn it over to God." And he actually had me on the phone say that out loud. God is God and I am not. Maybe we should say that today. You want to say it with me on the count of three? God is God and I am not? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. God is God and I am not. We need people in our lives that are going to constantly remind us of that. So that we know we don't have to live to please the standards of this world, but we're living in His grace and He loves us for who we are. Because we're His. Because we belong to His Son. In Matthew 11, verse 28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are tired and who are carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest." Guys, if you're tired or carrying a heavy load today, don't give up. Don't quit. Don't keep running at the same pace you've been running at. Instead, just come to Jesus. Turn your tiredness over to Him. Turn your heavy load over to Him, and He will give you rest. But here's the thing, in order to have that rest, in order to live life on full, you gotta take time to get to know Him first. He's here. He wants to know you and give you the rest that your soul is looking for.